In this third of 4 videos, I'm going to show you how to format our graph so it looks a little bit better. This graph that came up as the default is a little bit hard to read, doesn't have axes, titles, and the title that was the default for the graph is not really maybe what we want to call it. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and show you that up here on the ribbons we have a quick layout. So go ahead and click on that, and you're going to see that we have a bunch of choices. I'm going to go ahead and pick this first one because it looks like from the icon we have an x-axis, a y-axis, a title, and a legend. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what you see came up is a format that has, again, 2 axes titles, a chart title, and a legend. You can keep the legend there if you want to, but you notice in the other worksheet I did not have that, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. That just kind of spreads things out. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and rename my y-axis title. I'm going to go ahead and call that distance, and then we always put our units in it so we know what's going on. Same with my x-axis title. I'm going to click on that and highlight it and put in time and minutes, and so there we go, we've got that. Notice again, I back over here that I love that it automatically aligns it vertically, so we've got that going great. The next thing we need to work on is our y-axis. Notice our y-axis data points have 3 decimal, or excuse me, actually the 4 decimal points like we had from our data over here. So you notice I was kind of clicking. Go ahead and click that, and format axes is what happens, is what we want to pick. And I'm going to go to number up here in the menu and come over here and change to 1 decimal point. And what you'll notice happens when I do that is my number of decimals changes for my y-axis. I'm going to do the same thing for my x-axis, format axes, number, decimal points 1. We're almost there. One thing you'll notice that we need to do, oh, actually I've got a typo in my time, so let me fix that real quick. It should be lowercase I. We want this x-axis to actually not be in the middle of the plot. That's kind of cumbersome. We'd like to have it down here. The reason it put it in the middle there is we've got, again, this data that for their y value that's going from positive to negative, so we want to switch that. And the way we do that is we click on our format our chart, oops, not format our chart area, we want to format our format our axes. So click that, and this is where this horizontal axis crosses is what's going on. We want to switch it from automatic to an axis value of minus 3.5, and so I'm going to close that, and what you see that did is that moved that axis to be out of the middle of the plot area so that it's a little bit easier to look at. The final thing we need to do is change our title of our plot, our graph. I'm going to go ahead and call it distance versus time. And you can really call it anything. You could have called it distance data, really whatever you wanted to do, but distance versus time is something that helps me understand what I'm plotting. You could also put a date in it if you wanted to. Sometimes we'll do that with experimental data, is in the plot title, put what our data is, dated at, when did we take that. The next thing I want to talk about is are these grid lines. You see that we've got vertical axes, these major grid lines. I like those because it helps me to see what's going on, what my y-axis values are. But if you don't really like that, what you can do is click on those, come up to format grid lines, and put no line, and say close, and you see that that went away. If you like them back, just go ahead and right click on them again, format grid lines, and you can either do automatic if you want it to be automatic, or you can pick solid lines, or all sorts of different choices to make those grid lines. So I've got those back here. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add a trend line so that we can decide whether this data is linear or not.